At the end of the day, if they take the internet, well, whoopee-doo. Hopefully at that point, we would have all figured out how to connect with each other. It's like you have to be, I don't know if they want to call it a cynic, but you have to smirk at these people with all the stuff that they're talking about they want to do. The overall goal is to just keep you going like this. And then in this whole process, you're never paying attention to exactly what's going on. Like I said, the redistribution of wealth is taking place right now. The moving out of the old system is happening right now. What most people are going to be able to do about that would only equate to them gaining resources to be able to do something. Sovereignty. So if they're focusing on something else besides sovereignty, remember, gaining resources just to pay your bills and those kind of things, or just to buy some shoes and stuff like that, that's pretty much predominantly the mindset of the consumer versus the one who is saving money and investing, which is like an older mindset, like the old heads. All the funding that they have coming in, they're putting it into something that's actually going to create more wealth for them. Now, obviously, if there's no plan, like, hey, what is your plan? When do you reach a certain level of wealth? And when do you take that wealth and actually create your vision that has nothing to do with that first phase? To me, the cornerstone at times is, first of all, the resolve, the focus, knowing exactly where you're going. The next piece is having the resource to actually get you there so you can execute your plan. The next stage is to actually build your plan and to go through the process of learning and tweaking it. And then the last stage is to live in your plan, to live in your projection, to live in your vision. Earth has only got 72 max years. So that pretty much fills up all those slots of time. So that way, when you're complete doing that, you can sit right there in fulfillment. You won't feel like, oh, I missed out, and if she had married me, or if I never crashed the car that night, and if I never slept with her, or all those different things that you could be thinking about when you're, crusty and old and ready to make your transition, but feeling like you didn't get the t-shirt here. So it's still based on, hey, did it pass you by again? These waves have been passing people by and passing people like me by, people like you by over and over again. Like it wasn't just the internet. It wasn't just the awareness of consciousness. Do you know that there was so much metaphysical knowledge that came out about how this consciousness was really put together, that if we really took the next wave, the applications of technology, I'm just going to show you something. So at a certain point, you could see early Mount Shasta days, let's say Rudolf Steiner, tons of people that I can just keep naming more and more and more and more, of people that started to try to get an idea, no matter what cult or organization they were part of, an idea of what the spiritual world really consists of, right? And there was a flooding of this kind of information. It could be gandering, it could be theory, but some folks really knew how to take certain substances and go and try to figure it out, like John Lilly, right? So people who interfacing with dolphins, this kind of thing, smoking DMT, Terrence McKenna. So let's say earlier in those days, with all of that information, if when the computer era came in next, let's say what the computers do is they allow the animation, the visualization of what is being perceived. That is that's one of their benefits or abilities, okay? So if I'm talking to you, the internet is allowing this video to come over so that way you can actually see me. That simple level of communication. If the spiritual knowledge that was gained from the Mount Shasta days to the advent of the computer was then taken, somebody being a pioneer or visionary, then took that spiritual information and actually began to integrate that with the computer world, meaning, hey, let's see if we can explore this further with mathematics. Let's see if we can see if this is true. That's not necessarily the direction that it went. It went where spiritual knowledge was kind of like went into secret societies. It went into people who were going to hold that knowledge for whatever benefit they had of holding that knowledge, or whatever oath or pact they had for holding that knowledge. And then the technology thing boomed almost separate, pretty much separate to how it functions beside just the average knowledge that the computer does contain every single part in the human body, but just mirrored in a technological way. So meaning the computer age didn't perceive at all the connection between the spirit. Just like the cryptocurrency age is not perceiving the connection within the spirit. People are still seeing the disconnection with frequencies, numbers mainly, math, Maya. They're still seeing that disconnection, yet they fight a lot, and then they claim that they've realized something, but when it comes time to actually put it into play, I would say this. Right now, I'm tasked personally, something I'm doing to myself, with seeing now more action. If you look, there's AstroQuest, there's the Resistance, there was Realm Dynamics, which we folded into Spirit Tech. There's Spirit Tech specialists. There's Spirit Tech ambassadors. There's InterVersity. There's all these different tools. There's the Keymaker series in stone. There's hundreds of recordings. You see? So in that progress, it's only just me saying, look, man, let's really make it happen, though. Let's actually get to it. Now, it doesn't mean that every time I set out on one of those ventures that is going to get me exactly what I'm looking for, but I do know it's going to get me closer. What am I looking for? I stated it initially. The total expansion of humanity. Nothing more, nothing less. Why? What is life really for? Like, I've already seen, like, let's say the big parties, right? So there's that, right? Then there's the ultra bouge, like laid up somewhere, not talking to anybody mad. I've seen them. There's, just ground zero, where people you're forgotten about, like, where men are in jail and don't even have family members. And I've seen that. I see men 30, 40 years old can't read. I see an entire society of children so lost in their consciousness that they're just waiting on a glimmer to just change it around for them. Meaning that the more lost a person's get, really, the more found they really are, because they know what's really going on. It's the people that actually don't get a chance to see because somebody is putting gloves on all the time or putting a film in front of it, what the reality is truly about, that have the most difficult time recovering. I never seen really anyone that became something amazing not go through something. So in that entire process, I also went through that process with the people, many people on this line. It's like every time I hear somebody's story in this, I always feel like, man, you should write a book. They say the same thing, man, you should write a book. And I realized that, all of us should write books because of what we've been through in this reality and what's going on. So if we don't take it, if we're depending on somebody else to do it, not just taking it for yourself, like you got to do it, not me, not necessarily you follow me. I can give you some pointers. I can even mentor you in certain ways, but it's not like you can't. I don't say to myself every day before this, all these different networks and things that I've created. I don't think, man, you know what? I'm just going to wait, and I'm going to wait for everybody to do it, and then we're going to all do it together. It hasn't got anything done. Even when you're doing it, you're like, man, I'm doing it, and it's bringing certain people, but it still needs this. I still got to fix that. So what you begin to realize is this. The most important thing about this is that you know your goal, and you're focused on your goal. Now, that way, whatever happens through this whole process, you don't forget about your goal. Your goal is sovereignty. Now, for me in the network, what I've always done is I've just explained what I'm doing while I'm doing it, because I'm propelling myself to the great levels of expansion. Some people are doing that same thing, so we find ourselves on that same journey. It has been one hell of a ride. It goes so fast, you have a hard time even... it's going so fast, it's like smearing your consciousness. It's like even who you truly are, you're like, well, that's who I was. Now, and then there's who I'm going to become. Where am I at right now? So it's great to have people with you in a connection with others that say, yeah, but this is all part of the process. Not that this has never happened before. You need to turn back. This is none of that, but this is all part of the process. And we go through this process together, just like brothers and sisters with each other coming out of the womb, like you see those turtles. But instead of, some birds coming and all that, we fortify ourselves in our connection. That's how I look at things now. It's like, every time, sometimes I get onto this microphone, sometimes I have like all these different amazing things to say, and there's always stuff to talk about. Like I think about things in the shower that are just amazing. But most of the time, what I really mean to say to everyone is that, look, man, whatever it is, like all I've done is just try to bring this to you. And that's what's given me so much power and force. So it's almost like there's only one real principle here. If you put yourself in the position as the one that is truly wanting to give, and you just lock your dial to that, you're going to see the most out of this anyway. So that answer to that question, make it practical, make it simple. There it is. Take that dial of discovering your uniqueness and being an overachiever to yourself, like paying attention, staying focused, focus on your sovereignty. Take that and then set that dial there and just break the knob off.